Coming up live at 5, the latest on the midterm election results. What do they mean for Northeast Georgia? Then in Jackson County, public safety is getting a multi-million-dollar upgrade. How one nonprofit is using unconventional methods to battle addiction in their community. All of this and more right here, right now on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College of the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening and welcome to Grady Newsource. I'm Aubrey Gonzo. Tonight we have team coverage of the election results from Athens and the surrounding counties. We will also hear from political analyst Audrey Haynes on the statewide results. We start off by taking a look at Georgia's gubernatorial race. Incumbent Brian Kemp was reelected as Georgia's governor, defeating Democratic candidate Stacey Abrams for the second time in a row. With 100% of precincts reporting, Kemp has held a strong lead that eliminated the potential for a runoff, sealing a Republican victory. Grady Newsource reporter Wynn Andrews spoke with Dr. Audrey Haynes, a political expert, to analyze these results.
Many experts had Kemp winning pretty easily, but were you expecting such a confident Kemp win?
Yes, I was. At no point throughout the race was she ever ahead or within a 5-point range. So the expectation for yesterday was that he would probably win handily.
And candidate Herschel Walker and incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock are locked in a race that is too close to call. Although Warnock holds a slight lead, a runoff election is on the way because neither candidate is over 50% of total votes. All eyes remain on Georgia as the decision will impact whether the Democratic or Republican Party will control the U.S. Senate this year. Here's what Dr. Haynes has to say about a potential runoff.
Rock and Walker are both neck and neck in the Senate race as of right now. There's no way that we're not going to be seeing a runoff in December, right?
Oh no, the Secretary of State's office is reporting all votes in and it's 49.4. So the runoff looks like it'll be a go. It's going to be different. It's going to be shorter. And we still have to see what is going to happen in the other Senate races because it may be that the Warnock seat is not the most critical seat anymore.
Where do you see the results of the runoff trending in December?
As I mentioned, will that seat be the critical seat for control of the Senate? If it is, we're going to see much more mobilization effort. We're going to see national money pouring into the state. I think your bases that love both candidates are going to turn out, but Kemp is not on the ticket in a runoff. And there are a lot of Kemp supporters who came out and probably held their nose and voted for Walker. Maybe they won't turn out.
And now our live team coverage from Athens and the surrounding counties. We begin with Grady Newsource reporter Madison Harwell, who brings us the results from Barrow County's local elections. Madison?
There were 3 locally contested elections in Barrow County, and the results are in. The first election was for County Commission District 4. Alex Ward was the incumbent Republican candidate who won with 73% of the vote. Ward first entered office back in March during a special election. There was a special election in the town of Bethlehem for Town Council Post 3. This was a little different election, being that it was nonpartisan, with 4 candidates running for office. Eric Daly ended up winning the election with 38% of the vote. The third election in Barrow was for Board of Education District 1. The Republican candidate, Kirsten Bradford, was elected with 74% of the vote. I should mention that Kenny Lumpkin, Bradford's opponent, was an incumbent independent with only 26% of the vote. I had the chance to speak with the Director of Elections and Voter Registration in Barrow County, and the turnout for this specific election seemed to be unexpected.
That race kind of threw me. Kenny is very well known in the community, and he's very grounded here in Barrow County. He's always lived here. He went to school here. He's always been in business here. So I'm a little confused as to the turnout for that.
Franklin shared with me that many factors could have played a role in Lumpkin's loss, noting that it could have been as simple as not having an R next to his name and being second on the ballot. That's all that I have for your Barrow County elections results. Back to you, Aubrey.
Thank you, Madison. Thank you, Madison. We are now joined by Michael Doty, who is live outside the Athens Clark County Board of Elections office to talk to us about a surprisingly easy election process.
Thanks, Aubrey. Yes, the vote here in Athens Clark County was super smooth. Director of Elections Charlotte Soseby gives credit to everything that was put in place.
The staff and the team of poll workers that we have and poll managers, because, you know, like I said, we have the process of early tabulation and early processing, which is very a very big contribution to us doing everything so early and so quickly.
Soseby says 37% of voters in Athens Clark County voted early and another 22% voted yesterday, and no wait times exceeded 5 minutes yesterday, so people were in and out. Poll workers worked throughout the 4-week early voting process, as well as last night, and still showed up after the decision to extend voting hours.
So I felt like when we got into it in early voting, like people were way more positive, and you know, they were there to vote, and you know, everybody felt like that if they could get their vote in, I think they felt confident about that, which I'm not sure we had, you know, is different than 2020. So I felt good about that.
Voters elected 2 unopposed candidates for Athens Clark County: Democrat Will Fleener for Solicitor General and Independent Ray C. Rogier for Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor for the Oconee River. Another vote was for the homestead exemption. This is money homeowners save on property taxes. In a vote to increase the exemption from $10,000 to $25,000, over 85% of the voters voted yes. Now, going from here, the Board of Elections must continue canvassing computation, reconcile provisional voting ballots, and prepare for its risk-limiting audit on November 17th. And for the runoff election in the Senate, early voting is set to begin the week after Thanksgiving. Aubrey, back to you.
Thanks, Michael. Now we head back to the Newsource room with Grady Newsource reporter Justin Demetz. Justin, what are the results for Jackson County?
Well, in Jackson County, there were 32 positions that were open unopposed. There were actually 3 commission seats, 3 Board of Election seats, and then 27 Fire Advisory Board seats. These 27 Fire Advisory Boards are selected into 5 separate districts that all basically, you know, they look at the fire system and they say, how do we prevent fires in this area? That's basically what happened. But the one contested seat was District 4, and we had a Republican incumbent, Marty Seagraves. He had 4,958 votes, and then Democratic challenger Madonna Swanson Ward with 1,054 votes. That was the only race between a Republican and a Democrat in the district. One thing to note about Jackson County is that they had 33% of their precinct votes in during early voting, which was very interesting. That's all I have for the Jackson County News Update. Back to you, Aubrey.
Thank you, Justin. Stay tuned after the break where we go live to our Oconee County and Madison County reporters.
I was in foster care. I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
You don't need to fix a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found place to make my own, a place that I call home, this place that I call home.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back to our team coverage of the midterm election. Reporter Danae Traylor joins us live from the Oconee County Elections Office. Danae, what are the most important election results in Oconee?
.3% vote. Now, that is something that's been a really big topic of conversation here with the Board of Commissioners and the residents. TSPOS stands for Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, and it is a 1% sales tax that goes on everything except for gas, like motor fuel. Now, no one wants another tax, but this is going to be, all of the funds go towards transportation. So things like upkeeping roads and that type of maintenance, which we all love that. So here is what Board of Commission Chairman John Daniel said on what this means for residents here in Oconee County.
They probably won't see anything until the end of next year as far as actual work on the roadway, because we only start collecting in April of next year. So they'll see an immediate millage rate drop for 2023 taxing year. So that will be the biggest impact the first impact they see is a mill rate reduction.
Now, moving on from the tax, when it comes to the candidates here in Oconee, it's all red. Every Republican on a ballot here in Oconee won. That also includes the state and local level. So that also includes 2 Board of Education positions where Amy Parrish was reelected to position 2, and she ran against independent Ryan Repetsky. And then post 3, where Republican Ryan Hammock ran and won with a 76% vote over independent Melissa Eagling. Now, that's all that I have for you here in Oconee. Back to you, Aubrey.
Thank you, Danae. Finally, Grady Newsource reporter Jim Rogers joins us in the newsroom for Madison County's results. Jim, what can you tell us?
Yeah, thanks, Aubrey. So being a part of the election show last night was actually a really cool experience. We got to see how local elections are done in Madison County, and it was actually a more contested race than you might think. So starting off with the District 47 senator seat that was up, you had Frank Inn, the Republican incumbent, winning with over 75% of the votes. His challenger was Canola Scott Jr., Democrat, running for the first time. For District 3, we had the Board of Commissioners seat open, the chair spot. So then we had Frank May winning that outright at over 70%. His challenger was Larry Grisham. And then for District 5, for the Board of Commissioners, we had Derek Doster winning with over 70% of the votes again. Primarily, these are incumbent Republicans who have held their seats for a long period of time, and Madison County has remained a predominantly red county in Georgia. Then we had the mayor of Colbert County, which was our most contested race of the entire night. Tim Wyatt won the race barely with only 54% of the votes, while his challenger Gregory Magrum only received 45%. Now, for the most important election of the night, in many of the residents' opinions, was the distilled beverage drinks amendment. In some cities in Madison County, you can or cannot get distilled spirits inside a drink, so some cities didn't even allow something like a mixed margarita. Well, they almost voted unanimously, or not quite unanimously, but in vast majority, to yes to allow these drinks for the entire county. But something else that we're going to be cutting to, too, is some of the sights and sound we heard last night from Madison County. We'll play that now for you.
So I want to thank everybody that supported me. I want to thank all of those that have went out and worked and donated. But whatever the outcome is tonight, whatever it is, I will accept it, and I believe that it's God's will.
That is all we have in the 2022 midterm election for now. We will keep you updated as we follow the results of the runoff. Now, in other competition news, the countdown for the 2022 World Cup has started with plenty of talented teams showcasing the event. Ben McKettrick joins us in studio to give us more on what to expect in the tournament.
That's right, Aubrey. The biggest sporting event in the world kicks off in Qatar on November 20th and will run until December 18th. It's actually the first time the World Cup will take place in the winter due to Qatar's hot summers. I'm excited. I hope you are too. It's a wonderful time to get together and root for your country, and it's the first time in 8 years we get to watch the USA in the tournament since they missed out in Russia in 2018. And you don't have to wait long to watch the red, white, and blue in action. You'll notice the USA will open up all of its games at play all of its games at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which is very favorable. They'll open the tournament against Wales on November 21st, which will really just determine their performance and placement in the group. The top 2 teams in each group advance to the knockout stages, and with how good England has been recently, it'll be a fight for that second spot. A draw isn't the end of the world for both of these teams, but both will be looking for a win. And on November 25th, in the words of Paul Revere, the British are coming. It's the big one, a rematch from the Revolutionary War, the colonies versus the Redcoats, USA versus England, on the day after Thanksgiving. You couldn't write a better script for these two. And they last faced off in a World Cup match in 2010 when they tied 1-1, and both teams ended up advancing to the knockout stages. Now finally, the USA will close the group against Iran, who are probably one of the more weaker teams in the group, so if the USA want to advance, they're going to have to beat this Iranian side. Now some other matches to look out for outside of Group B are Belgium versus Canada on November 23rd at 2 p.m. That's some Group F action for you. Moving into Group C, you've got Argentina versus Mexico on at November 26th at 2 p.m. And then the big one, Spain versus Germany on November 27th at 2 p.m. in Group E. Now the final game of the group play, and I've included this because it's a big one, Serbia versus Switzerland on December 2nd at 2 p.m. This game will most likely determine who will get that second spot behind Brazil in Group G. Now I will of course be rooting for the USA, but Brazil is my favorite to win the whole thing after a 20-year drought, of course, since 2002. I asked the rest of the Grady Newsource team what they thought, and the majority feel in favor of Argentina, Brazil's fiercest rival. I mean, there are just so many talented teams this year, it can go any which way. And here's a breakdown of what or at least who I asked and the colleagues in the newsroom. One second, I'm just waiting on the graphic here. You've got our producer, Gabrielle, who's rocking with the Germans, who last won in 2014. Mary Lou is going with the Americans along with Jim Rogers. Danae is riding with Messi in Argentina. They last made it to the finals in 2014 when they lost to Germany. Arya is going with an underdog in the Canadians. And then Michael is going with the hosts in Qatar. The hosts haven't won the tournament since France did it in 1998. And then moving on to the remainder of our crew, we've got Madison Harwell, who's going with France to repeat. They last won in 2018. Now, there hasn't been a repeat winner since 1958, 1962, when Brazil did it. By the way, Pele was on that team. Riley is going with Argentina as well as win. So Argentina is, of course, your favorite for the Grady Newsource side. Sarah, our weather girl, is going with Spain. Justin going with Belgium, who are the favorites in 2018. And then our wonderful anchor, Aubrey, is going with Brazil, just like me. Now, there are just plenty, there's so many different sides you can pick from. Our newsroom is definitely differentiating with this. I'll be back later in the show for the rest of your sports. Back to you, Aubrey.
Thank you, Ben. Coming up next, how public safety in Jackson County is getting a multi-million-dollar upgrade.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason. Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
Finally found a place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
A California resident won the Powerball jackpot, winning the grand prize of just over $2 billion. Tickets sold in our home state of Georgia go towards funding the Hope Scholarship. We have an update on the story in Barrow County we've been following for the last month. The Board of Education has made a decision regarding the country's 10th elementary school. It will be a traditional K-5 elementary and not the proposed 4th and 5th grade academy. This decision comes after a survey completed by parents and teachers in the affected area. Several informational sessions. The school, which is well under construction at the Innovation Campus on Austin Road, will be open in the fall of 2023. Temperatures are cooling down in northeast Georgia. After the break, Sarah Train joins us with more on how the weather forecast will look this week.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back. I'm Sarah Train with your weather update. Starting things off with today's temperatures, we're dealing with a high of 66 and a low around 53 with a little bit of wind and some sunshine. And tomorrow it'll be a bit cloudier with a high of 65 and a low of 59 with about a 40% chance of rain. Now for Veterans Day this Friday, the weather's not looking too good with about an 80% chance of rain and thunderstorms with a high of 71 and a low of 51. So make sure to have your umbrella and raincoat ready to go. However, things will clear back up on Saturday with mostly sunny skies with a high near 65 and a low of 35. Sunday will also be sunny with high of 56 and a low of 33. So as you can see, we're starting to get some of those cooler fall temperatures finally after dealing with heat for the past couple days. And if you're a Georgia Bulldogs fan traveling to Starkville for the matchup against Mississippi State, expect sunny skies and cooler temperatures with mid-50s and lows in the upper 20s. So make sure you're prepared for that. Now, another thing to also be aware of is a wind advisory in portions of central and east Georgia that'll go into effect tonight as Tropical Storm Nicole approaches. Winds of 15 to 25 miles per hour should be expected, and gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Now, speaking of Nicole, the storm has made landfall in the Bahamas and is on its way to eastern Florida, where it's expected to make landfall tonight and should be a Category 1 hurricane with 70 miles per hour winds. Now, the remnants of the storm are expected to move across middle and east central Georgia late Thursday and Friday. This could potentially bring tropical storm force winds, heavy rain, and isolated tornadoes. That's all I have for weather today. Back to you, Aubrey.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She carried 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
More than 20 million Americans suffer from addiction, but few seek treatment. Grady Newsource reporter Riley Roberts tells us how a Jackson County nonprofit looks to change that.
There's no cookie cutter way to do this. We didn't start this on a model.
Reboot Jackson is an addiction center staffed by individuals in long-term recovery themselves. Employees use their own experiences to go beyond traditional treatments. Paige Crowe struggled with opioid addiction from the age of 12.
Isolation is so key to addiction. There's no way if you get in contact with Reboot one time, you're never going to be able to do that again.
She spent 2 years in Reboot's core programs and credits them for her and her family's recovery.
And so to have that model of somebody knowing where I come from, understanding me, but knowing what to do next.
People with addiction are at risk to fall back into old habits, especially when faced with external or financial struggles.
I got to go back to dealing drugs because I can at least make money there.
Right. That's the default.
And that's the default setting.
In an attempt to overcome this limitation, Reboot holds drives to raise money to provide clothing, housing, and education opportunities. Langston recommends looking to establish recovery organizations, then tailoring it to the people served.
We ask people, what's already working here, what can be better, and how we can fit in. And we use that to develop kind of what we were going to do as a program.
As a paramedic and ER nurse, Abby Estrada has seen her fair share of addiction-related illnesses. She says Reboot has the specialized programs she finds necessary for recovery.
They're on the right track. I feel like a lot of these people need actual people around them because they will hold them accountable, or they will hold themselves more accountable.
In 2021, the organization reported over 13,000 check-ins for support meetings and estimates 350 people come through their door each month. Paige is one of them. She still regularly checks in with Reboot, even if it's just to catch up.
I don't plan on ever losing contact with Reboot. These people have really imprinted on my life.
Riley Roberts, Grady Newsource.
That's all for today. From all of us here at Grady Newsource, have a great evening.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say, when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, that's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
I had to do the calculations, you know, by
Wi-Fi or Zoom, do not disconnect until we tell you you are cleared to go. There was a little mix-up with the sports and the weather. They kind of did like a little switcheroo on the sets, and that was just kind of like a miscommunication on our end. I had no idea that they were switching sets or what was going on there. So
That was a miscommunication, right?
okay.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what was really going on with that. So just everyone, any changes that are made, communicate it to us, your talent, everyone. Make sure we're all on the same page here. And then.
So was Ben late for his live shot, or it was just a miscommunication?
Well, he wasn't. I know because you were the one with your head cut off, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have time to get you. We were ideally because.
Here, I can explain.
No, we wanted you down there so we could get you framed up because we didn't. You're tall, so
Yeah,
we didn't
yeah.
have time to set up the camera, and like we were already starting the show whenever you went down there, so we didn't have time to focus on you. We were focusing on what was going on, so that is why your head was cut off. My apologies for that. So next time, if y'all are doing anything in the studio, even if your head's not into the equal, just be down there, be prepared, so we can get you set up and have you look the best way possible. Because I didn't want your head cut off. I didn't like your head cut off, and I don't want that happening.
Yeah, I was so disappointed, but you still did a great job, and it wasn't too bad.
So
Don't worry about it.
If you do have a hit in the studio, no matter where it's at in the show, just be down. It's okay to be early. It's not going to hurt anybody. We just want to make sure that y'all look the best, so y'all can be always content.
Better early than on time.
Exactly. If you're on time, you're late. Basically.
Yeah, that's in Denmark. That's if you're early. Yes. That's we were together in a study abroad in Denmark, so that's what I told them. Guys, we need to be early, because if you're not early in Denmark, you're late. So you remembered.
And then the last thing on my end, as far as labeling your graphics, if you've got a lot of graphics, that's fabulous. I love the variety, but take graphic doesn't tell me which graphic you want me to take. Like,
Yes.
there are a lot of scripts that said take graphic, and a lot of that, like, I love y'all telling me when to take the graphic, but like, label it whatever the graphic
Yeah.
is. So like if it's a graphic of a bracket, say take bracket graphic number 1, and then take bracket graphic number 2, and so on and so on. Like label, like just describe it as much detail as possible, because the generic take graphic, that didn't tell us anything like which graphic is taken. There was a lot of mess up with that. A lot of, like, the anchor was talking about something completely different than what we had on the screen because we had no idea which graphic was going on
Yeah,
there.
these things seem to be just small details, but they make such a difference
if
on
you're
air.
talking about
Yeah.
some soccer team that's not on the screen, that's kind of like what's going on here.
Exactly,
So, just
exactly.
In the future, make sure whatever graphic, picture, OTS, video, describe it in as much detail as possible,
Yeah.
so we can help y'all look y'all's best, because that's ultimately what we're here for.
Yeah, you can't be guessing. Yeah. And you guys did double duty. She was on the air doing a fabulous job last night on the election. Just so proud of all of you who were there. And here she is doing a live show, volunteering. So thank you so much. This is character. This is this is stamina and character. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Guys, this was a very well thought out show. Had an amazing leadership team, Mary Lou and Gabby. Both of you, again, double duty. Both of you did some incredible reporting, Oconee and Barrow, right? I'm not getting it wrong. I was just so proud of you guys. And here you are again. And yesterday, you were communicating with me and getting, Gabby got us, the political analyst. You were thinking about your show as you were thinking about your live coverage, and came in the morning well prepared with a vision. And we just had a few little, setbacks in the way, little technical setbacks with this wind blowing away Wynn's answers, literally. And but you sort of saved the answers, but I wished that we thought about the wind. So guys, note to self, when it's really windy out there, make sure just test the volume. And if it's getting into your mic and you don't have the right kind of equipment to mitigate that wind thing, that there's a special thing you can put on top of the mic, and we don't, get to a place where it's not, you're not getting blown away in the wind. At least the experts' answers were sort of okay. The wind wasn't blowing into her mic as much as it was just literally blowing away wind. But these are just small things, but I think it's a good thing to have in mind, because speaking again of the small things that really mess up such good work and hard effort, we can avoid them if we really, really like the live coverage. Everybody brought something unique. Jim, that was great, as I said. He brought us he had the foresight to really shoot some B-roll of just, the general atmosphere, and that was so interesting of last night. And the soundbite with the person who lost, and still what he said was really meaningful. The graphics you had, so it was very interesting visually, which is not easy to make, an election and just results interesting, and you achieved it. Doné did the same thing in a different way, with a live shot, with a soundbite, with focusing on the key thing about that election, in which everybody sort of was reelected. No surprises, she still mentioned that, but she focused on one key issue, and that was very nicely done. Michael, again, yours was also very interesting, graphics and interviews. You had 2 human sources, very well done. That is how you do election coverage in a very interesting way. All of you did it in different ways. It was just so interesting, the creativity that went into that. And it all came together so well because of the leadership team, the producer's vision, the executive producer who went and shot interviews outside in the wind and edited people's, because she's good at Adobe Premiere, edited people's interviews and just did whatever was necessary to be done. So there's no glamour in being an executive producer. I was just talking about you and how interesting things were with, Thank you so much, Danae. Speaking of interesting, I was really impressed with Ben, even though your head was not in the. We could see that there was a lot of, the brains going into that. It was a great. And don't worry, you looked okay. But again, these are just little things. Try to be early, and you'll be on time. Yeah, but this was just so, your writing and even he went back into history, and it was exceptional. The writing, the presentation, the idea, it was so unique, and all the research you had done. And I was like thinking, we could have called you an expert, because you really sounded like an expert, but because he asked, can I be called an expert, a sports expert? And I said, no, you don't have the official title yet, but you deserved it with what you did. I really, really liked it. And not to speak of that tie. What did you guys think of that tie? Yeah. So please, it's over to you.
Yeah, so first of all, the graphics was completely my fault. I didn't. What Sydney was saying, I did not I didn't slug them what they were supposed to be. I guess I wrongfully assumed that the graphic from Small Tree would. I don't know. It was naive of me, basically. But they did a good job of like adjusting and picking the right ones. I was like, because I mean, the right ones got up when they needed to be, so it worked out. As for my head being chopped off, so. This was a miscommunication on my part with Gabby. I know in the pre-production meeting, or the meeting we had this morning, I mentioned that, can we switch, because I might need to read my own graphic. And then I realized that I can just use a full screen VO. And then me and Gabby talked about switching back to normal. And I never told Tom that. And so when I'm down there getting framed for the sports green screen or the blue screen, I'm told that, oh no, I need to be on the weather side. And so like last minute, 30 seconds left in the break, I'm trying to manage, get the mic on, all that, which I did get the mic on. I was very impressed with myself.
I'm glad that you
normally
did.
It takes
Imagine
me
not having a voice and a head.
I know.
How would that?
That would have been awful. I would have had to hold it. Oh, but I got it on, and then it instantly cuts me to see I'm missing a head, so I back up, and then I'm hitting the wall, and I'm like, I've got no more room to back up, so the head was done. Sometimes
it's good to be to be vertically challenged, like
yeah,
I guess.
I always thought about squatting, but I mean, the graphics helped me out because they were able to block, and I was able to back up as much as I could. I don't know how much of my head was missing. I've been told it was my forehead, my hair. So,
but your forehead was there, but just your
my hair was. Oh God, did I look? Oh gosh,
you look good.
Did I look bald?
No.
Do I need?
You look great.
Okay, good.
You look good. And you know what matters? What matters was the substance of what you delivered. What matters was how animated you were, how interesting, how much. I mean, you were into the zone, you know, and so that's what matters.
Yeah.
Many people look very good on air, but if they don't give us interesting content, and then they're not excited, and so that's what matters, I think, in my book.
I mean, from like September, I knew I was sports anchor for Today's Show. I knew from then that I wanted to do the World Cup because I knew so I was very happy to do that. And I thought I was able to put a lot of passion into it.
You did.
And I was very proud of the Paul Revere comment.
And you should be. You should be. Yeah.
The graphics.
Very well done.
So sorry, Tom, for the not slugging the graphics. That one's on me. And then the miscommunication with what set I was on. But other than that, it was fun.
It was excellent. It was very well done, even without brains. You know, no, you had your brains even without hair. Yes. Very well done. Sarah impressed me today with, her idea to challenge herself with COP27. Even though we weren't able to put it in the show, that was really impressive because it was not easy, and she came up with a script that we could have sort of refined and really thought about visuals and made it something very interesting. We didn't need to do this, but I really liked your idea. Your presentation of the weather was spirited, very well done, and I have to look again from what I saw, the caveat, but I just thought that you did a great job. You enjoyed yourself. Anything you want to mention about the experience?
It was Good. Yeah, I think the one thing I just stumbled with was right before I went on, I think sports got floated. And I knew that was going to happen, but I wasn't sure if there was a lead for the Sojo, so I tossed it back to Aubrey, and it went to break. So that was
But you
something
didn't
I
toss back to sports, which was good.
I didn't. I did
and
know
that was impressive. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
that was
I did
impressive.
hear Ben say that right before.
Yeah.
So that was fine. But
that
yeah,
was
that was
very
my one
impressive.
thing.
Yep, that happens in the professional world as well. You know, some people like me have also done that. But you saved us. You saved us because we were 4 minutes over at that moment, and we were doubting whether we really were 4 minutes over. And it turned out that our doubts were justified because we weren't 4 minutes over. We were just 2 minutes, I think. And so we had no choice. We had to do that. So that was very well done. Wanted to mention to Justin and Maddie, your live shots did not have any visuals to go with them for the elections. At least I didn't see any that you played of graphics of all the information you had to give, and that's what I talked to Justin about. You really need graphics for this kind of numbers and races, just like you saw what the others did with the races and graphics. So that's what I would recommend. Yeah, but you didn't have when you were giving us the latest results. Take a look at it. There were no graphics, and we couldn't. It was very hard to follow what you had to say because you were just reading off a script, and there were lots of numbers and things. Take a look at it again, and take a look at what the others did, and get some ideas as to how, if you cover elections in the future. No, it's nobody's fault. For some reason, you didn't send your script to me, so I was not able to look at it before air. And I would have caught that.
Well, I think
did the executive producer look at it?
It was just.
Who looked at your script? Who copy edited? We would have caught it had you.
Yeah, but
you know, and nothing goes on air without being copy edited. And
I didn't know if I was gonna do like just bullet points or not, and then.
Even bullet points require, you know, some kind of visual when you have a lot of numbers and things like that. That's really important to give us, you know, key points like, you know, for Danae that was T-splost. For, you know, Jim had other interesting things that he did it in a different way in which he had visuals of the atmosphere. He also had graphics for everything. He had 5 graphics for everything he talked about. And I was so impressed that all the graphics made it. So my doubts about whether this complex thing would make it, made it. Yeah. So you take a look and see just for ideas, and you know, it's yeah, and nothing goes on air without being copy edited. And
it was reviewed beforehand, but
yeah, who reviewed it? I just want to. And why wasn't it sent to me? It sort of slipped off my agenda.
That's my fault then, because I didn't know most lives were just doing bullet points, and then
Yeah, but everything goes through me. Nothing goes on air without me seeing it, and I would have caught that the way I caught it with Justin, and because and I talked to him on Monday again. He came to me with something similar, and again I explained to him on Monday that you needed visuals and why you need the visuals, because it's really hard for people in broadcast to follow through. They don't have the time to stop this, really look and digest the numbers. You have to do this for them and just give them the common trends. And I mentioned that in the morning meeting, that all of you should look at something key, specific, different, surprising, meaningful to people that'll change their lives, kind of thing that happen, and then summarize the rest. You know, most of the people on the Board of Elections, for example, with Justin, he told me, you know, the Board of Elections people, they were all re-elected, so nothing new. Everybody remains on that. So you could have, I told him, a graphic where you do have the three incumbents who are re-elected with their percentages, and you just say that all of them, you know, were re-elected. You don't need to go through every number and So that's what I meant with him. He didn't, I don't know, Aria was supposed to help him. I don't know why it didn't work out. Yeah, but that's really important in the future when you do elections. It's really important to do it that way.
I just want to say for the record, Aria made me some really great graphics, but I worked my butt off on the wrong story, and so I got caught up in that.
But why weren't you able to speak to the visuals? What happened?
I didn't put them in. I got caught up on the wrong things. So I take responsibility for that, and I'll learn from it.
Okay.
Okay.
You tried to give us a package, and we asked you to do the live coverage from the election. So you tried a little bit too much, I guess.
Yes, and
And,
I started that story over this week.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to have something after
Yeah.
the election show because I wasn't gonna have time on Tuesday. So that was my
Okay,
reasoning.
Can we put that package on social media or something so it still, has an audience?
Sure.
Because you worked so hard on it. It's complete now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so talk to Jim and let him write a little lead to post it. So it will be seen by more people actually than the broadcast.
Good
so
call.
You could do that. I hate to see something. I know how, you're an artist when it comes to B-roll and putting packages together, so I hate to see that not see air. And I think that's the way we could do it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, but the most important thing today was for us, we had designated you as our live reporter on the elections. So that was the most important role that we had for you today. And had you come to me and just said, I can't finish both, I would have told you, stick with the election and just let this, you can finish that later. But we do appreciate the double effort. But we needed you to make sense of those election results.
I think there also was a little bit of miscommunication because, Jim in his package, he had some of the U.S. House districts and the Senate districts. I could have covered that a lot easier, on Jackson counties. But I guess I felt like I was kind of constricted to just the commissioner and everything that was going on in Jackson County that wasn't specific to the U.S. House or not the U.S. House, the Georgia House or the Georgia Senate. So I could have had a lot more, but like I said, I'll just learn from today. That's all it is.
Well, you had to make sense of it. You had to sort of analyze it, not analyze it, but the right word is summarize it. And as I said, see I showed you what, and I think you understood when you were telling me Board of Elections, no changes, right? So you could have had that graphic instead of going through so-and-so was reelected, so-and-so was you could just say the general thing that happened on the Board of Elections, everybody won re-election, then here all of them were unopposed, like we discussed. Remember when you brought that list of elections and numbers and things that you would have lost the viewer without any visuals or without making sense of what it meant. And you told me there was just one race in which somebody won an election, something unexpected happened, so you wanted, or something like that, you mentioned.
He's held the spot for 10 years.
So, but you mentioned there was just one thing that you needed to mention because it was significant, and then that you would focus on, what was it, you had a soundbite?
Yeah.
Was it?
I don't know what happened there. I tried to export it, and my computer just wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
I've never encountered that problem
so that
before.
would have worked nicely.
Yes.
And I hope I was able to explain to you when you came with that sheet what I meant, because I tried to explain the same thing to you on Monday, and it seemed like I didn't succeed because you came with the same laundry list today again, without visuals.
Yes, and we had the visuals this time. We just I try to summarize
we
as best.
We really appreciate, the double duty that you tried, but you still came to. I don't want to argue this, but you still came to me without any visuals. After we discussed it on Monday.
I understand. I had visuals, thanks to Aria.
Yeah, but that was after I asked you to do the visuals. You still slacked me a script without them, and I explained to you where you needed them, and I asked Aria to help you. Or am I making
You're making
this up?
sense, yes.
Okay, that's what I meant. And thank you. We appreciate the double duty that you tried. And maybe what you learned from this is that you should pace yourself, and you know, you should see that, you know, you're running out of time, and come to your whatever executive producer in the future and just say, this is too much. I can't do both. Which one do you want me to do? And I will do that. So you don't place yourself in such a situation. And you anchored 3 hours. You did very well last night. So you're tired also. So you could have just told us, you know, which one do you want me to do? We wanted you to be our designated Jackson County. That's your county. You're our expert. That's your beat. We had to rely on you because that's your beat. And you know the most from each one of us what this meant. And plus you anchored 3 hours of election coverage, and you knew the stories because you had been handling all that all night. So that's where we needed you. So I don't think you lose anything from an experience like that, which was traumatic to you, by just learning to pace yourself. And we do appreciate the extra effort. And I'm sure that you've delivered something beautiful again, and that we should post it on digital. And it will live, and I think it will have a bigger audience. So nothing is lost.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so anybody else has anything they want to say, I will give you the floor. Our leadership, our intrepid leaders.
I don't have that much to say. I think everyone did a really good job today, and thank you to all the reporters at the studio. And
Yes, this was really, really exceptional work.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who was very flexible today and just going with the flow and doing your pace, going with the raw stuff with rearranging stuff. Good job.
Yeah, end on a nice note because I apologize, but I had to make this point because it's really important when you have so much numbers, and it doesn't make sense to the viewer because it's broadcast. Maybe in print people have time to slow down and digest the numbers, but so we end on truly how proud I am of all of you. What you did today was really, really exceptional and very well done, and I think it's an important service to our local community because they wouldn't have heard or known all the things you told them about their little counties where very little local coverage is done. So I will let you guys go. We are all very tired, and but I think you should be proud of yourselves, and I really appreciate how you pushed through the fatigue and delivered some exceptional content. So really proud of you guys. And let's do a Sojo shows. That'll be a little bit easier. Still pitch something to put your issue in perspective, see what happens on Monday. And yeah, Riley. Oh, yes, exceptional. Speaking of, I'm sorry I didn't see you. You were sort of probably already snoozing, tired. That was a very heartwarming piece. It was very well done. You had a beneficiary who has this problem, and that she let you inside her home, and that she spoke to you. This is so rare to be able to get a beneficiary. Well done. I know how hard you worked on this, how long you've worked on this, and it was very well done.
I will say the only thing is I wish I had more time just to, you're your toughest critic. I got here at 9 a.m. this morning, started on it right after the meeting. It just still didn't feel like enough time. If I do have time, I do want to go back and work on it more, like even if not for this class, just for my own benefit. But I was just going to ask, with the Sojo shows, I know Wynn isn't feeling well, and I hope he's going to get better, but when will we know what show we are on? And with the show that we're not on, do we still pitch for that? You get what I'm saying?
Harper, were you able to make some progress and make some decisions on whose package is when? You know, you need to sort of think about the topics of the shows and not just who feels like doing it on Monday. Monday will be very important because the solutions journalism people will be critiquing. So to me, if you just haphazardly ask people, do you want to be there on Monday, you would have solutions that sort of probably don't belong together, theme-wise, or yes, they're all solutions, but they sort of, that's what I wanted you to do today, to kind of think through all the topics, because you have them all in the assignment sheet and you could have quickly watched them, would have taken you no more than 20 minutes, and thought about how they belong in a show. They all have different themes, like some of them are focusing, let's say, on addiction, on problems like that, so they belong together in certain blocks, and how to link them together, and who's going to anchor, how is this going to work.
Right. So we have 7 social stories. Is that understanding?
You probably don't have Nicole's, Riley's, and Donay's. Are you doing a sojo story? Yeah, but they have done and they've aired, so you have 3 more, which is like 10. Have you looked at the assignment sheet? The assignment editor's sheet has all the sojo stories and links in them. You weren't an assignment editor? You didn't? Never assignment editor? Are you sure? Or maybe you called in sick on assignment editor, because I tried to get everybody to be an assignment editor. That's okay, that's okay. Yeah, well, so how were you able to think about the solutions story? Because I saw you were here several hours, so. Yeah, yeah. So guys, we will have to make those decisions on Monday. So all of you come up with good news. So maybe our criteria could be, so we need to choose a criteria that binds those stories together. So maybe on Monday, the stories that are sort of the newsiest, or if you have other ideas, let's let it be driven by the news. I love the news myself, and so if you guys agree, let it be driven by the news, and I think that would be an incentive for all of you to really sell your story with a news peg, and on Monday.
If you wanted, I have access to the assignment sheet, and then like whenever we have the pitch sheet, like and you can go through the news, like I can help with that too. I wouldn't mind doing that.
To think about.
To like look at the news pegs and decide like newsiest and all that, like I can help with that.
But we've got Wynn and we've got Harper. That's their only job.
I was just saying like I could help. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to steal it.
Yeah, because you're the news queen. Oh yes, I do know that. Yeah. But it's up to all of you to help with writing links and visualizing and dressing up things, and so that would be, all of you will be working on coming up with creative ideas to find news pegs, to write in an interesting, creative way, to think of maybe we could do a little bit of Q&A, a reflection on how things went. I don't know, just the sky is the limit how you can handle this in a creative way. You could Q&As or whatever. I see somebody coming up with, yeah guys, so I think that'll be the fairest thing for you to come and come with a news peg. And if there's no news peg, you find something else that recently development that impacts your story, something that happened. Try to look at maybe if somebody implemented that, I don't know, since you made that amazing story of the pet adoptions, have other counties done something? You can ask those people, hey, has somebody called you to ask you how did you do this? And that could be a great update. That shows that it's working, right? Your insights inspired other people. And you can ask those people, okay, so when you implemented that, did it work? Maybe they'll say, you know what, in our county we don't have that regulation, so it didn't work. And isn't that interesting? Or it worked. So yeah, I think we're going to be fine on Monday. Our only job on Monday is actually to come and dress it up and find the news pegs and make it great. No weather and sports. It's a solutions, just the solutions with news pegs, because we don't want to end up with just package, lead package, lead package. We want to have a VO, we want to have a VO SOT. I'm making this up. For example, Maddie comes and says, oh my goodness, I have the soundbite with another pet adoption place that is, they have implemented this and it's not working right or it's working great, and here's I talk. So there's a VO SOT there going with her package, right? So this is the kind of thing I'm thinking. So think of a news peg or an update if that idea has spread. And guys, you're so tired, but again, I got a second wind. I'm excited about this, but I know I need to let you go and rest up. And just thank you from my heart for everything you did today. It really impressed me. Thank you. Love you guys.